In the last section, we talked about filtering rows, where we only show ties that match a certain condition. When grouping rows, it's about combining ties that match a condition. To help illustrate the subtle difference, let's look at some graphics. Filter is a type of selection that refers to restricting the result set to contain only those elements that satisfy a specified condition. Grouping refers to the operation of putting data into groups so that the elements in each group share a common attribute. The following illustration shows the results of grouping a sequence of characters. The key for each group is the character. Now let's move on to writing functions for grouping. For example, we can look at how do prices of Gucci ties compared with J.Crew prices. Well, we can look at the maximum prices for each brand. So we filter by the brand, and then we find the maximum and the averages. Let's create a new file again. And let's create a variable, Gucci ties. Okay, now we have filtered data samples of each brand that we're interested in looking at, and now we could find the maximum values for each. Remember how we had this find max min from before? We can reuse that as well. Actually, we can leave that blank because the default is max. And let's print out a string message equals maximum brand tie price is dot format, and then let's pass in the arguments. So we want to pass in the brand, which would be, actually, let's do it that way. Let's have a string, and then when we print, that's where we can pass in the values. So we have message dot format, and we pass in the brand. Here we're interested in Gucci first, and also max Gucci. Let's see if that works. Okay, let's use this just to make sure. Oh, right. Okay, so this error happened because price label is actually in the header. So let's remove that. And we can still use max min. And let's see. Oops. Let's just use this. Oh no. So I guess J.Crew does not have a space. So we could do that. Remove the space. Clear console so we can more easily read it. All right, so maximum Gucci tie price is $545. Oh my God, that's pretty expensive. Let's try another brand. Let's see how J. Crew's ties compare. It's a little bit less expensive. Okay, so now let's try averages, because if the maximum value varies so much, maybe the average also varies a lot. So we have average Gucci, which is equal to average, find average was the function name, find average. Let's look quickly again at the functions. Was it this? It was just the data sample and whether or not there are headers. Let's close that. So we want to say true, there are headers. And we want to print the message. And let's actually change this so that it's 3 arguments passed in. And then here, instead of maximum, we could say average. And we could reuse all of that. Cool, right? Average price is $165. Let's see what the J. Crew average price might be. Oops, there we go. And here we want to use J. Crew ties. And here we want to, in the message, print out J. Crew and use average J. Crew price. Okay. Oh, so the average price of a J. Crew tie is lower than the average price of a Gucci tie. And we could continue doing this and also compare the prints and other information. So let's try one more exercise. Let's try printing out the print. So paisley, stripe, solid, or print. Let's see what that looks like. And lastly, we want to look at the solid ties. So we have 4 different patterns to look at. Oops, I have a typo here. All right, so let's see what happens when we print out that. So we didn't finish the parentheses. It needs to match. Okay, so there we go, it worked. Now let's actually print out all 4 of them. . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . . instead of the message from before, we want to use tab spacing. Oops, we don't want to paste that. We want to copy this and have the same order prints. Okay, now let's print out this and see what it looks like. All right, we only want 2 arguments. We only want 2 arguments here, so we actually want to remove this. When we print it again, there we go. So we have the tab spacing making the alignment look nicer. From what we can see from this is that print ties are not cheaper than solid ties.